Hello and welcome to another End User Talk podcast. I'm your hostess, Jamila, your Lady in Tech. Hello and welcome to the End User Talk podcast. I am your hostess, Jamila, your Lady in Tech. Today, I have an amazing someone I've been waiting to get on the podcast for some time, and it's magically finally happened. So welcome, EbonixSims. Thank you so much, and I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Jamila. Thank you so much for having me and for your patience, first of all. But yeah, no, very happy to be here and I'm doing really, really great. Thank you.
Well, that is very wonderful to hear. There's a lot that has been going on within last year, and just everybody's been facing different things. Before we get started here, I want to make sure that you're okay. How are you doing? How are you faring?
I'm really good. So hi, everybody. My name is Danielle. I also go by Ebonix or EbonixSims online. I'm a Twitch ambassador and full-time content creator. And you've probably heard about me or know of me for my input to The Sims. So I taught myself how to 3D model in and around 2016, 2017. But I've been making content since about 2015. And yeah, so I've just been making content for the last 5, going on 6 years to ensure that everyone can see themselves in the game. And within the last year or so, things have really, really picked up. I became a Twitch partner last February, and then this February, I became a Twitch ambassador. Spent time kind of cultivating and growing and nurturing my community. Have had various different features and different articles as well. And I have supported and consulted the Sims team on the skin tone update, where they added over 100 skin tones to the base game to ensure that the player base feel a bit more represented when it comes to making their themselves.
All of this is it's huge. It's epic. Anyone who is familiar with the Sims and is a person of color, they know how frustrating and how lackluster that game was prior to these recent updates. And my daughters themselves, they play. I have 3 daughters. They're young adult women now. They played when they were younger. And of course, The Sims is one of those games that kind of just follows you. I don't know what it is about The Sims, but it definitely is a game that allows you to be very, very creative. And the fact that you are now able to create characters that, as you stated, represent yourself and some of the things that you see in other people, that just changes the whole thing. May I ask now, I know that you're doing this with The Sims, or that was your initial contribution. May I ask what got you or made you decide that, you know what, I want to try to make this better? What got you to creating?
So, I'm very much like your daughters. I'm a lifelong simmer. I have been playing The Sims since it probably came out. So we're talking 1999, 2000. And so I wouldn't say back then I was too not concerned, but it didn't really become apparent to me until the Sims 4 franchise that, it was really, really lacking when it came to aspects that represented us. So I was trying to make a storyline with my Sims, as you do. And I was off work for several months for injury and surgery and stuff. So, I was like, okay, let me just make up a story. This will help me pass the time. And it really then dawned on me, because I was spending so much time in the game, like, God, there's really not enough content in this game for us. And so I was aware of mods. I was aware of custom content. I'd been using custom content for The Sims 2, The Sims 3. And I looked around for The Sims 4, and so this is around 2015, and I was looking around for the content that I was looking for, and there wasn't any. So it it was, to me, it's like, okay, can I do this? Is this a thing? And so I did some research, and I found out how to recolor for a dashiki because I wanted a dashiki for my character. And I did it, and I was like, yo, okay, well, if I can do this, then I can do, can I kind of do this? Like, and that kind of just started the ball rolling. Like, okay, well, if I can't see this in the game and it's not been created anywhere else, then I'm going to try and create it. And that started the chain of events that led us up to today.
Now, most people will say we're making a big deal out of nothing. First and foremost, this is just a game, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
game, it's a pastime. Why are people of color, why are Black people, Black women, why are y'all making such a big deal about a character, a fictitious character emulating or looking like you? Are we making a big deal out of it? Should we be so adamant about seeing ourselves in games? Or should we just
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, if you can open up a game and the character creation engine has 57 different versions of straight and blonde, why should we have to deal with that? Why should we have to accept that that is the norm? Why aren't we allowed the same amount of options to make our characters look how we look? So it isn't fair to sit there and accept or say, well, it's just a game, because those who are saying that don't have to deal with not having enough options to create themselves. They've got 50 something different options, and we've got three, which are usually the big afro, the small fro, and the braids going back, and on the off chance some locks which don't look like locks. So, and then the skin tones, they will usually be very ashy and not representative of us. And so I think we have to make a big deal about it, because if we want to be able to see ourselves playing these games, if we're controlling a character, it becomes way more immersive. And there's also an element of feeling like you matter, because I really used to think about this, and I started thinking about it as I got older, that back in like the Sims 2 days, I never really used to make Black Sims because there wasn't enough content for us. And I revisited The Sims 2 recently, and I was like, wow, there was the content for us was very, very just, it wasn't good and it wasn't enough. And so, you end up having to use the straight hair because the options that you're presented with when it comes to a kink or a coil, they just either aren't of a good standard, or it's very, very, very limited. So I will always knock back those who say it's just a game, it's just pixels. If there's a character creation engine, there should be just as enough options for like kinky, coily people of color hair as there is for straight hair. And there should be just as enough skin tones with different undertones as there is for those of the lighter skin tones as well.
And I do agree with you in that regard. As I mentioned earlier, or as we're alluding to, The Sims is honestly, it's more than just a game. It allows you to create scenarios, role play,
Mm-hmm.
be imaginative, be creative. And it allows you, I mean, the world we live in, there's not just one shape, size,
Exactly.
height.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So why should a game be one dimensional?
Exactly.
And it allows people to express themselves. It allows them, again,
Mm-hmm.
to be creative. It allows them to imagine. And it's not just kids who play games, right? Everybody
No,
does. Um,
everyone.
exactly. It's a pastime. Now, with that particular issue, do you think at this particular stage that enough attention has been raised to the question about game developers, designers, creators, when they go into creating the different characters? Do you think now that enough attention has been put from the people, I'll just say the people of color,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think now that they will start making certain that there is some variety?
I would like to hope so. I'm very much trying to advocate that we aren't like an afterthought. So, where the game goes out and then it's like, oh, what happened to, our options? And then they have to patch it in. Like, I kind of am rooting for the more various options to be part of the main game when they do launch. I mean, let's take like Cyberpunk, for example. So that's recently come out. There aren't that many skin tones. So I was a little bit disappointed when it came to skin tones. But features and stuff, they allowed you, I could actually make a nice looking, strapping black man. And I was like, okay, his features are nice. He got a nice nose, lips could be a little bit bigger. So I'm looking at games like Cyberpunk and I'm thinking, okay, this is new. This is what the creator character engine is looking like. There is some hope, but I'm still a bit on the fence and there is still a lot of work still left to do. I mean, even if you look at Animal Crossing, they had to patch in. So this came out in 2020, like March 2020, and they still had to patch in additional hairstyles for us. And it felt like for a game to have launched in 2020 to still not have representation that is reflective of its player base, it begs the question: Are we still being classed as an afterthought, and that our content is going to get patched in? So,
I like where you're going. I mean, you are so right. I mean, in all honesty, we're seeing this in just within 2020, just kind of, it was a Pandora's box, if you will. Now, of course, you are in the UK. I am in the US. I don't know what any of this looks like for someone, all over the world. I don't know how this plays out and what the end result will be. But it did open up a Pandora's box of issues. Now, we've all dealt with racism and discrimination, sexism. We've all dealt with it in different ways. Now, there are some things that are universal, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you are a Black person, particularly Black women, we have this uphill battle and this twofold struggle that we constantly have to kind of defend all the time. The Black Lives Matter movement was one of those things that kind of put self-worth, value on the front lines.
Absolutely.
Now, when you're saying in game development and creation, now we're just dealing with one aspect of this. I've heard many people say that we don't want the Black Lives Matter movement to be this thing that is a hashtag. We need this thing to be ongoing. We need people to acknowledge and recognize that we do contribute to a lot and we deserve our just due.
Yeah.
May I ask, me being in the US, I see and I feel things totally different. How has all of this affected, or in your perception, what is it like from the eyes of someone in the UK or from the UK?
So we see and feel and hear everything that you guys are hearing. The internet makes the world a much smaller place. It's not like it was, 10 years ago. Whatever you guys are feeling, whatever movement is happening, it's an international thing, and we see and feel hear and everything. There were protests happening over here. There's discussions and podcasts and activations and fundraising. There's all of those things are still happening over here. So last year, I actually initiated and brought back to life a Black Lives Matter Sims rally. So I hate to bring it back to the Sims, but it was just another way to, I guess, represent like digital activism to show that internationally we can come together and speak about and support a matter that is just, it affects literally all of us worldwide. So I agree. We're not just the hashtag. We shouldn't be celebrated in just February for you guys, which is your Black History Month, and October for us, which is our Black History Month. We definitely feel and experience a lot of what happens. I mean, I think our racism is a bit more covert, so it's not as on display as it is over there for you guys. We don't have as many police shootings. We do have brutality. It may not be showcased as often, but it definitely is happening. But so the fight that you guys are fighting is one that we're also fighting, because we could go out there one day and still experience the same thing that you guys could come over here and experience. So yeah, it's an international cause, and one that I hope that we can continue to ensure that we are seen and ensure that our lives matter.
Agreed. And I think that definitely is a confirmation, because sometimes you kind of feel like you're alone in a particular struggle or a challenge, if you will. And the one thing that social media has done is it has opened the door and the information funnel, if you will, about things that normally would probably go unnoticed. A lot of these unfortunate stories that we're seeing, where the whole effort and the intention of Black Lives Matters brought attention to. Under normal circumstances, we would not have known about these people, the Breonna Taylors and the Ahmaud Marbury, and all of the other countless names. We wouldn't know about it. It would stay a private matter. I really, sadly, I'm a Black woman. I have 3 Black daughters, and I really, young Black women, and I really wish that our conversation would change, in that instead of us talking about all of these disparities, we could talk about our successes and celebrate those.
Absolutely.
This is the one thing that I'm trying to do with my podcast, and I've been blessed. I have to be honest with you. I've been able to speak with some amazing Black women on Twitch and YouTube, including yourself. And what you all are doing, I definitely want to say is, I know sometimes you don't always see your impact on other people, because it's just us and we're just in our heads, if you will, and our intentions to do things. Sometimes we don't know if it's being seen, if it goes unnoticed. But I do want to tell you, I hope it's okay for me to call you Danny.
Of course.
That what you are doing is very, very, very important. It is needed, and I want you to stay encouraged. And I know you are definitely committed to this, and it shows. And everything that you're doing is great. It's appreciated. And just the generic term, we're starting to celebrate of being a people of color. People do need to see representation in themselves.
Absolutely.
So I thank you. I thank you for your contribution as well. And I'm so sorry to be.
No, you're fine. No, thank you. Thank you so much, Jamila. I mean, that's definitely the end goal. I will definitely say and always say that The Sims was like my stepping stone to making a change. But I don't want it to stop with just The Sims. I want to kind of expand this into way more many avenues. So our descendants, our descendants don't have to worry about not seeing themselves in games and only having 2 options. Like whenever they load up a game, that they're going to be able to see themselves and freely and love themselves. Because that's another thing, just to even touch back on, the importance of why representation, why representation matters. There's an element of self-love in it as well. I can't tell you how liberating it felt when I made my first hairstyle, and I called it the Anais hair. And funnily enough, that is exactly what my hair looked like at the time of me making that. And I was really, really overwhelmed because it's like I could finally see myself.
Right.
I see me. And for some, it might mean nothing, but to so many others, it definitely means something. So I want to take that feeling and put it in everyone in whatever game they play, especially if they have an option to create a character.
I agree. It makes it so much more engaging, inviting. And like you said, I mean, being inclusive, that word is thrown around so much, but it has the meaning behind it is so vast.
Mm.
And the other thing is, interviewing a lot of the young women that I have interviewed, from Chelsea Bites to Pixie Pugh and Kia. And I apologize for anyone that I missed. I have the utmost respect for all of these young women in every aspect that they contribute with their streaming style. The one thing that I have noticed, Story Mo Bay is a huge advocate of making certain that female gamers, women gamers, are
Mm-hmm.
just as included, because women play games too, and some of you guys are amazing. uh,
Honestly.
Great challenges. So your perspective of that, what is your point of view, or what is it that you would like to see change in the gaming community, in including women?
So, I mean, I will always be a Black girl gamer for life. I'm a part of a really lovely and supportive community called Black Girl Gamers. And see, I haven't ever really played like first person shooters or games that required me to be online. But I know I have many friends who have, and they refused to go back online because of the onslaught of abuse that they faced. And it's like, why should we be isolated in the community or in the gaming space because of what we look like and our gender? Like it is so tiresome. Um, so I completely agree. The space needs to be not just welcoming, but embrace us. The gaming industry is very much white, cis, male centered, dominated, and focused. However, I did read a really cool article today about how adult women are the largest demographic in gaming now.
I saw that
So,
article.
hmm so that gives me, and my eye just opened. I'm like, oh, so now it's starting to shift, and so that leads me to feel and want to feel that women in this space are going to be giving so many more opportunities to shine in their element because we are gamers. It doesn't matter what game it is, we are gamers and we deserve to be uplifted and supported and being given the same opportunities as our male counterparts.
And it makes no sense for there to be all of these restrictions. And I mean, games are meant to be played. There is a competitive element within games as well, but there are some games that are just meant for social
Mm,
um, um, aspects, and just the enjoyment. And so it does make it very difficult for you to be, and that's what I'm saying. This is that burden that we as women, it's like a double-edged sword. You're a woman, and then add the fact that you are a Black woman, and any other woman of any other race. It's just like, why can't I just be? Why do I
right,
have to be excluded? None of that has any bearing on whether or not you are capable of completing the particular experience that a game has to offer. My gender has no bearing on that. So
I
why do you come in here and you make this about gender or race or sex or whatever
right.
it is? And sadly, this is the same thing that I've seen so many women express on YouTube, within Twitch. I've recently seen on Twitch, well, I follow them on Twitter, how they are putting out responses about how they are trying to make the space safe for female gamers and just people of color in general.
Right.
And do you think that the efforts that Twitch, the platform itself, do you think that they understand truly what the gaming experience on the receiving end, whether you're female, whether you're male or black, do you think they really understand it?
That's a very good question. I think to an extent. And see, the thing is with Twitch is it's so hard because every time they try to do right, they have to pull back whatever they've done and there's an apology. And it's like, okay, so this has happened on numerous occasions. I'm wondering what is the process before putting out certain posts. And, I think, what was it that happened during Black History Month? There was I can't recall, but there was an event on like the main Twitch channel and the chat was just filled with like racist comments or racist emotes and stuff like that. So it really, the question was, how was this allowed to happen on Twitch's main page? And so and everyone started to speak on it. It was questioning, how can this be a safe space for us if even on the main platform, we're still faced, we can't even just be here and enjoy the game, speak about games. And it's really, yeah. So I see that they have good intentions, and I'm probably not expressing myself as well as I want to because I have a lot to say, but my brain is trying to manifest 50 different million versions of what I really want to say. But I do think that the intentions are there, but there's still some work to be done. And I think there needs to be another buffer or another layer of whether this is like a diversity and inclusion officer, whether this is it goes through their ambassadors, because we're here for a reason. Please utilize us before they put out certain posts, and just do like a proper check-in, because I know people don't want to always like have to check in, but to be fair, checking in would make a world of difference to ensure that you're being as inclusive and protecting the minority, which essentially isn't always the minority.
Agreed. I wonder if, because again, this is one of those situations that I see also on YouTube, it's not isolated to Twitch. I wonder, it's in the gaming, like you said, the individuals who play online. There is one game, and it always loses me, and it's because I'm not a first-person shooter either. I do enjoy watching them, but playing, I don't have the ability, sadly. I can't think of the name of the game right now, but I wonder, on these games and during the live stream or live experience, online experience, I should say, do you think that maybe they need to incorporate or monitor the chat rooms or the sessions so that they can see, because clearly the person's username is available, and these individuals who continue to express this type of behavior, do you think maybe they need to incorporate something that monitors these users, especially if they're being reported? Now, I know that's one element of it too. Are they being reported? And what is the process in reporting someone that continues to abuse other players? Is that maybe what's too lax?
Maybe the process needs process needs some work, but it's also a thing of racists are finding new ways every day to be smart with how they're racist. So how they let's talk usernames. They'll find different ways to write out racist usernames, or they'll find different ways to type in the chat like racist comments, but whereby it wouldn't be picked up by, let's say, the auto mod bot. So it's like, okay, it's about keeping up, I guess, about keeping up with it. Maybe it's not effective because it's a bit outdated and there are new ways that people are trying to put us down as Black content creators. So as far as I know, they're working on their transparency and they have, I think, Cup and Noodle. So Cup is let me double check, because I think Cup works with the kind of it's like kind of like a safety program.
I believe I heard the same thing. I think I know. I just don't know the official title, but I believe
exact same. So she works quite closely with the Twitch team, and she too is very much like, myself, like Story Mode Bay, like X Mirror. Like, she wants to see us up on, like, looked after first of all, but to see Black women winning. And I know that she's probably working really, really hard to ensure that this becomes an even safer space for us. But it's hard to know the ins and outs. And what I want people to do is to, yes, speak in it, but if there's any solutions, if you have any solutions to these problems, please, 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 like, put it out, put it on the timeline, send it to Twitch, send it to ambassadors, send it to Cup, like, because it's not but to be able to resolve these issues, if they are clearly having issues resolving them, then we need to start offering up some more some insights. But I do think people should get paid for that too. So there's a catch-22.
Agreed. There are some people that say maybe because Black people aren't respected on these other platforms, that maybe we should transition and make our own platforms where we can police, and I use that word loosely. We can make certain that the individuals that participate on these networks, they do actually feel, and it's understood, the expectation. Some people say that would be the fix. I don't know if I subscribe to that. In some ways, I feel like maybe it would be better, but then it lies another caveat. Like you said, there's the pay. Would we be blackballed? Would you get the same promotion and the support from some of the larger platforms do? So I believe there's probably a catch-22 with that.
I agree to some degree. I do think because there's this analogy of making room at the table, right? But then there's also the analogy of making your own table kind of thing. So why try and make space on a table that clearly doesn't always want you there?
Right.
Over making your own table and then bringing in the people in the community that have been exiled from said table that wouldn't make room for you. So I would definitely love to see a platform of nothing but Black and POC content creators. That's actually like a dream, because instantly you have a demographic that you can connect with all in one space. And it, I guess, allows all of us within the one space to support, uplift, find, see, exposure, like it's all there. But then there's a problem within that, is that it then could become a space where only we support each other, and we're kind of then blackballed or exiled from the rest of the world. So it's a shame that I'm trying to think of an example. So let's take the BuzzFeed video I was on. So someone pointed out that the video received, even though it was about Sims, it received way, way less views than it did from the usual 100 baby challenge. And on the thumbnail of the YouTube video that I was on was of a Black woman. And so it was like, okay, why is it? Because that there wasn't that much exposure for Black women on the platform already, or is it a thing where that white people aren't choosing to watch us as much as the other 100 baby challenge women, only watching ourselves? Or should we be included in the whole industry rather than keeping it as quite segregated. So I don't know. So it's another catch-22. I really want us to be involved in the whole community and for everyone to support us, but I know at this moment in time it's not going to happen. I know that's a very, very big ask.
It is. And I guess the main thing is that's so frustrating is, and I've seen that scenario played out in film. There was an article that was written some time ago about movies being advertised or publicized overseas. They don't do well if there's a Black person on the cover. It does exceptionally well if there is a non-Black person on that cover. So sadly,
John Boyega of the Chinese Star Wars.
Exactly. And he's an amazing actor. Well, I don't know that if he considers himself an activist or even an advocate, but he's an amazing actor. He's so talented. And for someone to diminish all of that just because of your skin color has nothing to do with him being a male. It's because he's Black. For some reason, that's unacceptable. So, and I've heard that also the same scenario. Now, there are a few on YouTube. There are a few individuals who've surpassed that, and they have a following, and they love this Black person because this person has risen above that. He or she has been accepted, so they will get the views. I don't know what it is, but it's that thing. What do they call white famous?
Right.
So you have to get to this particular level where you're not considered Black. You're just this likable person.
Right. But unfortunately, skin color is seen first a lot of the time.
It's so much to tread. It's maddening. It is just so maddening. I do want to say this. I've watched a couple of your streams, and the one stream I do remember watching is when Watch Dogs Legion came out. You actually did the play of that, and I remember you so excited about, oh my gosh, I know where that is.
Yes.
And even
so happy.
Yeah, you were so excited, and I was excited. I've never been to London. I've never been there, so I have no idea what the point of interests are and what is true to life. But I saw your enjoyment, and you mentioned particularly getting in the car. We're driving on the right side of the street.
That makes a massive difference, because I can't tell you how many cars I've wrecked in GTA trying to drive on my side of the road.
So again, there we go with this thing that when we're playing these games, we see things that are familiar to us.
Absolutely.
And I shared in your excitement. I was like, oh my gosh. And then you were saying there was one particular road that you went up, and you were talking about a restaurant. And you were like, oh my gosh, that's the spot or let me go see if that spot is there. That chicken, I think it was a chicken restaurant.
Yes, the Nando's, probably.
Yeah.
I think it was in Brixton. I think that's when I got most excited, because it's like, Brixton, that's home.
That's your hood.
Yeah. So yeah, no, definitely.
So it's wonderful to be able to play these games, and then they incorporate real areas, spaces, places, and familiarities to you that you can, oh my gosh, that's relatable. So just like scenery, or places that you visit those things being familiar to you, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I love the fact that they included that. It means something. The whole experience means something. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was cool.
No, it's definitely a very cool moment. But you can also relate it and tie it into pretty much anything. If it feels like home and it feels relatable, you want to have that excitement about it. So 100%. Love that.
I do want to say a lot has happened to you. I want to ask you this. Do you feel, is there anything that you have recently been acknowledged for that one you think is long overdue? And secondly, what of these things is your most proudest moment?
It's really funny you asked this because in the time that we've been talking, I got verified on Twitter. So,
Congratulations. I saw that
thank
too.
you.
Congratulations.
What? So, I honestly don't feel like. I guess imposter syndrome is probably one of my biggest things. I don't ever feel like anything is due to me. I feel like everything is happening and should and has happened because it's supposed to happen. Um, but with the things that have happened in like the last year or so, I mean, in the last 5 minutes or so, getting verified, whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-freaking-doo. Um, but I think for me, it was the working with, oh no, God, there's so many things. Okay, so I'll even just give you February for an example. I became a Twitch ambassador, which is, it's amazing. Not every day you can wake up to someone saying or calling you to say, actually, hey, you right there, we want you to be an ambassador for us. We want you to represent us. And for a platform as big as Twitch, that means so much to me. I was featured on a billboard in Times Square for a few days. And, my channel hit over 4 million views. I was featured on The Sims as one of their creators of the month type thing. But for me, I think the most overwhelming and one that means the most to me was working with the Sims team on the skin tone update. Because that is a generational change to a game that I love. We all have our strives about packs and kits and all this stuff, but I think the element of knowing that when a new simmer comes to play the game, they're not going to be restricted to what skin tone they can be. They can actually find and match their skin tone. And I think for me, that's a generational thing, that this game is still going to be going on for years to come. And to have had that much of an impact on the game, that for me is the most important thing. Fame, notoriety, people knowing who I am, that's great. I love that, and I appreciate everyone's support the most. But for me, it's something as simple as being able to pick your skin tone and having had an input into that in a game as big as The Sims, and knowing that any game to come, that we're not going to have issues like that. We're not going to continue to have issues like that from this franchise. That is the one thing that means the most to me out of everything that's happened.
Well, congratulations to you on everything. I believe it's all well deserved. You've worked hard, you've worked long, you've worked effortlessly to make certain that the things that meant something to you. And again, sometimes you're doing these things and you're doing it for yourself in most cases, but then you also may have your friend group and you all are playing, and all of you guys are the same, but you look different. And it is a wonderful thing to be able to play this game or to look on TV and see people that look like you and see some differences sometimes, because, things are not always the same. It's good to have some change. And to be able to incorporate this within a game, and especially one that you really enjoy, that is, oh my gosh, that's epic. So
Absolutely.
Congratulations to you. How did you feel when you saw the advertisement in Times Square? How did you feel about that?
Honestly, if Rona wasn't a thing, if coronavirus wasn't a thing and we weren't in the middle of this pandemic, I would have flown out to go see it myself.
Right.
I would have been on the first flight to go and catch that moment in person. But Oh man, I'm very grateful to everyone who was able to capture that moment for us. It, you just don't think that anything like that is ever going to happen to you. It felt unreal. I sent the picture to my mum, and then probably within about 2 hours, had about 20 different family members messaging me like, "Oh, congratulations! Is that you?" And I was like, "Oh my God." So, it just, I can't think of the word right now, but it's like confirmation. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It's confirmation that my work hasn't been unseen, like hasn't been unnoticed, and that, when I did decide to commit to this, that everything leading up to that point has been meaningful and appreciated and acknowledged. So it was really, really an overwhelming moment.
Well, hopefully you'll get the opportunity again, and if things go well with coronavirus and we don't have any new strains of it, hopefully they'll do a replay of that so you all who didn't get the opportunity to go and
Right.
experience that in person. And I saw on Twitter so many different people who
Mhm.
were they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm in Times Square." That's
Mhm.
amazing. That's a great accomplishment. Now we're getting close to the end, and I do want to say thank you so much. I know we've been trying to get this together for a while now. So
Oh, yes. So thank you for your patience.
no, thank you for not giving up. I thank you. This is honestly, this is an honor for me because I know how busy you all are. I know that you all are doing so many things all the time.
Mm,
And for you to extend this courtesy and this, it's an honor. There's not another word I can use for it. I'm
oh.
grateful. So thank you for not just, giving up and you continued. The other thing, you are so sweet, first and foremost. We have never met. um,
I
other
hope
than the interaction during your streams, you've never been rude to me. And I'm gonna say this to you also. The one thing that means the most to me when I do watch your stream on Twitch, you always say my name and you say it
Oh,
correctly.
oh, bless. Oh, no. I'm going to sob.
No, you don't know how heartwarming that is to me. You have a lot of followers. There are a lot of people in there at any given time. If I say something to you, you don't say my screen name. You actually say Jamila. So that means a lot to me. So
Oh, bless
thank
you.
you for acknowledging me. And I know others who are there, that's the one thing that they want to do is you just said being seen means so much.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that all of you young women who are doing the things that you are, people are having difficult times in their lives. They're dealing with mental health, depression,
Right.
loss, and there's so much that we struggle with. And just that moment, that time frame that you all turn on the camera and your stream begins, and you say hello, or you say someone's name, or you acknowledge something that means so much. It's a small thing, but that
Mm,
that means the world to someone that really
absolutely.
and truly admires and appreciates and enjoys that hour or whatever the time frame is that they're interacting and viewing you. So I want you to know that I appreciate that and I thank you for that. And I feel
Welcome.
special and I've been called everything but Jamila. So
Oh, bless you. Well, I will ensure every time I see you, I call you Jamila. I definitely wanted to yeah, it's one thing being called like a screen name, and I love being called Ebonix, but I always love when people call me Danny because it brings that connection. It brings like that instant connection with another person. So yeah, no,
right.
not a problem, my dear.
Well, As I said, we're winding down. I love to talk. I know you've got other things to do. So, what I want to do at this point is, I know that there are a lot of people out here who are one struggling with various things. Others are so focused on being famous or being popular, being seen in different areas. We're in a
Mhm.
social media stage, but do you happen to have any advice, any encouragement for someone out there who is trying to maybe make an impact like you have? What would you have to say to them, to whether it be encouraging or uplifting?
Um, okay. I'm going to read you something that made me cry the other day. I know we're winding down, but if this isn't a testimony to what I do, I don't know what is. So I'm going to read this for whoever's listening and needs to hear it now. The spirit of creativity is the catalyst for freedom. We create our own path when we aren't satisfied with the path set for us. While creativity can be our superpower and change the landscape of our very existence, it can also be a burden that demands more than we can deliver. Within the chaotic concept of creation, we still strive for excellence and ultimately a meaningful balance. We must remember to cultivate the gift that has manifested within. Chase your gift instead of success. You will find the joy of loving the process. Don't get caught up in the mirage of success. The path of a creator is forever evolving, and there is no blueprint for self expression.
Ah, my hands were up. They
Just
just
for
raised.
William.
Just I had no control.
Honestly, that, God, that really, it touches me every single time I read that, every single time. So my heart is always full when I read this.
It's a wonderful affirmation, and it is definitely a testament to how people may see in this age of being visible, and what social media has allowed for so many people to become
Mhm.
influencers and IG famous, and getting the likes and the retweets, and just trying to find their place, and again, it's just being visible. So that is
Mm.
definitely a testament, and thank you for sharing that with us. As we close, I want to give you the opportunity to share your socials and everywhere. If you have projects that you're working on that you can let us know about, please let us know where we can follow you, and continue to keep you on our list.
Of course. So, I mean, you can find me everywhere on EbonixSims. That's EbonixSims. So that's Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. If you like The Sims, you can download some free custom content for your Sims at ebonix.com. And I don't have anything I can talk about at the minute, but definitely follow my Twitter and you can be kept updated on everything.
Danny, thank you so much. I feel great today, very uplifted.
Oh,
Thank you
you're
also for checking on me and my family. That was what I was trying to allude to earlier. I'm in Texas, and we were affected by the power
welcome.
outages, and we didn't have water for 4 days. So you
Wow.
reached out to me, and my girls and I are very grateful to you for that. So thank you for checking on us regular people out here.
Oh, no problem. Not at all. I'm glad that you were able to get water after the 4 days, but I know it was a difficult time for you. So I was happy to give you that space and time, but also check and make sure that you were all okay.
Thank you. You continued success. You deserve everything. Take time to appreciate it, take it in, absorb, and be at awe within yourself about the things that you have accomplished, because as that poem stated, your journey, everybody's journey is different.
Mhm.
Creativity is about being individual. It's also about being unexpected, and being able to surprise and
Mhm.
appreciate what we've done. So stay safe, Ebonics. I wish the best for you, continued success, and you're
Thank you,
always
my lovely.
welcome.
You too, you too. I mean, you're doing amazing with the podcast. You've had so many amazing women come on and gave them a platform to speak about what matters to them and on important topics as well. So I want you to keep that up too.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too, my lovely.
We've come to the close of another episode of the End User Talkcast. I hope that what you've heard today will leave you feeling empowered. Thank you for listening. And remember, every day's a training day.